Good morning, church. It's good to be here with you this morning and to share some exciting information with you about our strategic directions as Christ the King, where we're headed in the coming years. And these people are all going to help me present. You will have four basic parts of this. The first part will be a little bit about the structure, how we got to where we are, the methodology for moving forward, how we collected data. The second part will be about data itself. Mission insight is what Grace will report on. Neil will share some social media information we learned along the way. And then the final presentation will be the actual strategic directions laid out. Will be shared by the two on that end. They're ready to do that for you at the close of our time. And then we will have questions or receive questions if you have questions about what we're sharing with you. So here we go. The methodology. First, we started with a goal to set a carefully researched, theologically sound, strategic direction for Christ the King that will direct our ministry for the next 3 to 5 years. This is a strategic direction and not a strategic plan. Strategic plans tend to be 5 to 10 years and are very fixed. We believe the world is changing too fast, the church is changing too fast for us to say this is a 5 or 10 year plan. It's a 3 to 5 and will be available to be adjusted along the way. That's what makes it a direction. We blow with the wind, like directions. The Isaiah Project team was 16 members. We gathered people from a variety of demographics and backgrounds and especially looked at some of their God-given gifts to be a part of this strategic planning team. The method, it's a multifaceted congregational and community listening that took place in order for this to happen. We reviewed the effectiveness of the 2019 plan that was put together previously, and that really impacted a lot of what we looked at going forward at this time. There was a three-pronged listening model that we used, the three great listenings. Listening to God, first of all. We based this on the Isaiah text, "Here I am, Lord, send me." And we really looked at that as our driving force as we look forward to this strategic direction for 2026 and beyond. Listening to the community is the second great part of the listenings. Local leadership is Cary High School was involved, the principal there. We also talked to the Ministerial Association and people in other denominations, including Muslim, Baptist, Episcopalian, and non-denominational leaders, along with Dorcas Ministries and the One Wake organizers as well. The Lutheran voices included Lutheran pastors from the area Triangle Conference, along with Bishop Tim Smith from the North Carolina Synod, and those who represent Novus Way Ministries and Agape Curie Beach Ministries as well. And finally, we went and had a sit down with the folks at Lord of Life in Garner as our shoulder ministry organization to hear what they had to say about this process as well. Our total listenings, we did 586 points of contact with people in order to get the input for this material. That included 239 voices that were heard in 17 group meetings. Those are cottage meetings, listening sessions, and CTK small group sessions. We also did 54 one-on-one interviews with members, and 293 of you completed the individual congregation-wide survey that was sent in as well. Those add up to 586 points of contact, which is a large span of material for us to use. We also added as bonus listenings the mission insight, which you're going to hear more about in a little bit. And another bonus was to look at social media. It's impacting our world. it is impacting our church, and we needed to know where that was headed for us as well. The time frame of our work, we began on March 25th, so we're 8 months into the process. By the time congregation votes on December 7th, we will be at 9 months of this process happening to get to the completion point. We met in April as a large group and said, here are the tasks that everyone needs to do. The 16 members were all assigned, and the biggest task was to start writing the questions that we needed for our listenings. And those were completed in April. May through July, we began the process of listening. Primarily, we started with small groups in May and June. Then in June, we started to add the individual interviews. June through August kind of were the individual interview times. And then in July, we added the layer of the survey to all of you. July and August, the survey took place. Then in mid-August and September, the whole 16-member team got back together again, and we started to sort through the process of what does all this data say to us as we look at our strategic directions. Early findings clearly showed us that worship is a core to what we do here, and the two service styles are immensely important to what's happening within Christ the King. Our continued work in outreach and advocacy defines us. It's just not a little bit of what we do on the side. It is core. Many people talked about that outreach and advocacy being a central piece of who we are. We also found out that folks inside and outside of the congregation have a very high satisfaction with who Christ the King is and how we interact in the community and support each other within. The last strategic direction, the one done in 2019, was tremendous and gave this congregation tremendous strides forward in inclusion, eco-justice, and anti-racism especially, and we wanted to continue that process and this process. We learned that people travel from far away to be a part of a vibrant, life-giving church. Other findings we found were small groups are an important part of what this congregation is looking for. More connections and learning, more belonging. There's excitement about the digital ministry and our partnership with Lord of Life. We are not ready at this time to do anything with a name change and will not be doing anything with a name change at this point. The request for additional ministry and visitation to seniors became very clear, and I think we have evidence of the answer to that sitting in front of us. Peter is now a little more on staff because of kind of what we were hearing here. So we're thankful that that could be put in place quickly. People are proud of the culture of welcome that this church has and the ability to be forward thinking, not always reacting to what's happening, but being proactive and being in front of the things that are changing around us. As the group gathered, the 16, we took multitudes of this information, plastered little phrases up on the wall, and went around and put dots on the things that were the most important to us that we could sense, and the things that had the most responses from you in all these survey pieces. And these are the 13 that rose to the top. Worship, the quality of the preaching, pastoral leadership, teaching the faith, welcoming all, no exception, the sense of belonging in community, the need for small groups to continue and thrive, discerning personal gifts and ways to help discern those gifts as members, to continue our strong ability and outreach to do advocacy, providing care for congregation members. Care connection was a major piece we also heard. Diverse programming opportunities. Over and over again, people said, I come to this church because there are so many ways that I can connect and use my gifts. Culture building. is one of the exciting things that we heard about in this study, and we all believe too that that's an important part of what we're doing. It's not just a church that's blowing with the wind, but this is a church creating a culture, and that's an important part of who we are. And that we be future thinking, like we have been in the past, to be moving forward as we go. The remaining pieces of the timeline, after the ones I talked about earlier, you've heard a little bit of this already, but we're at the November piece right there, right now, where we're presenting to the congregation. Then on December 7th, the congregation will vote to adopt this strategic direction piece moving forward, coming up. And I'm going to turn it over to Grace for Mission Insight.
Great. So I, as a data nerd, had just an astoundingly fun time getting access to all of this data. And a big thank you to Pastor Athena for being involved and engaged with all of my nerdy questions. So the data that we were able to get access to is about all of you. So we had data on the 600 plus congregational households. The goal of that was to be able to plot and see things like how far are people driving to church. And then we also had access to Mission Insight, which is an analytics tool that is designed to help churches understand the community surrounding us. And it includes things like the American Beliefs Survey, which nationally asks people a ton of questions about what they want out of ministry, how they think about religion. Another really fun one that I won't have time to dig into today, but it's mosaics. So that's essentially like creating clusters and profiles of our community. I know for a fact that a lot of you are booming with confidence. So just a lot of fun things that we got to dig into, but I'll just go through some quick things. One thing that we found that was really exciting, so what you're looking at here is since 1971, how many people a year have joined Christ the King? And we are growing at an increasing rate from 1971 onwards. And you can see that this is despite a 10% overall reduction in religious participation in the 7-mile radius around CTK. So we're bucking a trend, which was really great. And that kind of brings me to the whole point of looking at Mission Insight is to take all of the information that we are hearing from around the congregation and validate that with data, and validate that with data that's outside our own bubble. So this is a kind of methodology that we went through throughout the process. Another really great one that we saw is, like we said, this is us. So this is a plot of everybody that goes to CTK. 46% of folks live within 5 miles of CTK, and like Randy mentioned, a lot of people drive a lot further. And it was really cool to see when we plotted all of the people in our digital ministry that are starting to come up in the congregation as well. So shout out to the folks in Washington, California. We saw kind of a pocket in Wilmington as well. So we're excited to see evidence of the digital ministry having an impact. Beyond just plotting things, we also wanted to validate, is CTK serving the needs of the community other than the people who are already here? And so one thing I mentioned, the American Belief Survey, and what you're looking at here are the top 15 ministry preferences of people, again, within that 7-mile radius of CTK. And the thing that we found to be really exciting is CTK is addressing all 15 of them. So like I said, we use this data to validate, are we doing the right things? Are we missing anything that our community needs? And we found that to be really exciting. And then I just wanted to point out, because we don't have time to go through all 15, but the traditional contemporary worship, we have both of those. I think that's the thing that makes us unique. The warm and friendly encounters, which I think everyone here is a credit to, that makes us unique. And then just wanted to shout out to the pastors. The high quality sermons are important to people, top 3, and we absolutely have those. So in conclusion, I think it's really exciting to confirm with real data that CTK is experiencing growth despite kind of community trends. It seems like our strategic direction, the things that we have been doing are aligned with not just our community survey needs, but also our broader community. And also just, it's really great that we have this data that we can continue to validate our congregational investments with. So yeah, that was really fun.
All right, I'm Neil Roba, and I did kind of the social media overview and kind of more on YouTube kind of stuff. So yeah, I focused on the Generation Sunday School class and kind of pulling any relevant information from that, and then I looked at the specific analytics for YouTube, like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. And I, like Grace, also pretty into the data stuff, so it was pretty fun for me. So the Generation Sunday School class had a lot of questions in it. I would highly recommend going back and watching it. I thought it was really great. But so I tried to pull out the two that I thought were really the most important for picking strategic directions, and that was how do people talk about God in the past versus how do they talk about it now? And future, and bringing the youth and nourishing the youth and stuff like that. And so the key takeaways are, as such, we need to remain an inclusive community and continue to invest in our youth. So this is just a little peek at some of the YouTube analytics. I mainly focused on stuff COVID and beyond, and really mostly after COVID. COVID was kind of anomaly, but you can see on the left here our lifetime YouTube views. And so, I mean, it was pretty stagnant until COVID, and that big spike at the beginning is COVID. So these are just a few of the peak viewership events we had from COVID and beyond. I mean, you'll notice that a lot of them are really focused on major church holidays, which is not really particularly surprising or anything like that. But I have a lot of data, so I only pulled a few things, but the subscriber and views like gains over time have been pretty consistent. It's like pretty much just like a linear line up. So we're constantly growing, and then I just wanted to note that our biggest viewership spikes were the day we posted 2 YouTube shorts and our Peacemakers ad. I don't know that I really have anything to say particularly about that kind of stuff, but the shorts get a lot of views, like TikTok and Instagram Reels also, and the ad seemed like it was worth making, I guess. This is a little bit of our meta stuff. Didn't want to focus on views for every single thing, so these are more interactions. So these would be like likes, comments, bookmarks, that kind of thing. And on the left is Instagram, on the right is Facebook. Same thing, I kind of focused on the most spiked events. You'll probably notice that the Christmas time is part of Facebook, but not Instagram. I was just having trouble with the data. There was no particular reason other than that. But you'll see things like the Ashes to Go, the anti-racism training, people's birthdays were big on Facebook, the Out Rally post, and that kind of stuff. So the common themes I was kind of seeing were the big spikes were really kind of like the posts that focused on inclusion and social justice, and also celebrating the staff in worship. And I think that these kind of interactions sort of align with our identity, our past strategic directions, and kind of where we want to move in the future as well. Our TikTok, again, I kind of switched it up on this one. These are our most viewed and interacted with TikToks. I know maybe some people in the room aren't as on the TikTok scene, but we tend to experiment a little bit more there, and we have some fun stuff. So, yeah, our content is a good mix of experimenting with trends and stuff like that. The viewers tend to resonate with we had a couple of music posts from around the COVID time when people couldn't really receive music, and so those did really well. And then progressive theology is kind of just a blanket term I created for representing a few of the more like progressive things, like Daniel had a post about, kind of like love is love, that kind of thing, and the Bible being a library, that kind of thing. So, and then inclusion, social justice, all those things were also popular engagement on TikTok. Similarly, kind of, I think they align with where we think the church is going. So our conclusions, social media has been growing steadily. I think we reached an important niche of more progressive Christian content. I didn't really show the demographics. Instagram and TikTok tend to reach younger audiences. Facebook and YouTube tend to reach older and broader audiences. So I think we could utilize that in different directions if we wanted to. And then again, similar to the things I was saying, our followers seem to resonate with inclusion, racial justice, service projects, progressive theology, and celebrating what makes CTK a great place to attend and worship. And I will pass it on to Don.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Don Azevedo, and this is...
Hi, I'm Annika Jerlinga.
And we're going to give you the actual strategic directions that we developed. These are the 5: praise and worship, enact justice, advocate for a shared future, connect and belong, evolve to meet a changing world. So for praise and worship, you can, wow, that's really small.
Turn around.
Excuse my back for just a moment. Praise and worship, central to our Lutheran faith. equal value of traditional and contemporary worship styles, deepen spiritual connection, and ground us in word, song, prayer, and sacraments. We strive for worship that is authentic and participatory, uplifting diverse voices. Renew us to enter each week.
Enact justice. Yeah, I'm going to do this too. Thought I could do it. Jesus calls us to bless those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Work alongside partner agencies to turn shared resources into community resilience. Eco-justice to slow the effects of climate change. Model sustainability and stewardship of all of creation.
Advocate for a shared future. I'm going to try in the back. Honor the sacred worth and dignity of all people. Amplify the voices of the oppressed. Condemn systematic racism and white supremacy. Walk in solidarity with marginalized communities. Create positive, lasting change for all of God's people.
Connect and belong. Address the loneliness epidemic that threatens our health, well-being, and society. Offer opportunities for connection and service, encouraging all to discover deeper meaning and purpose. Provide an inclusive and caring community where every person can share and develop their unique gifts.
Evolve to meet a changing world. Tell the story of Jesus that is both rooted in history and relevant in our modern world. Evolve in our use of technology and digital media to reach and engage beyond our walls. Continue to grow in collaborative ministry to seize the opportunity of being a 21st century church. So praise and worship, enact justice, advocate for a shared future, connect and belong, evolve to meet a changing world. We will now take questions. Randy will really take questions. The rest of us will just stand here and look pretty.
Actually first, am I up? Before we do questions and answer or question and maybe we know, I'd like all of the team to please, who are here, not everybody could make it, but all the 16-member team who are here, please stand. As a team, this was a lot of time, a lot of gathering together. I'll give you an example. In September, we met every week, and in one week, twice in the same week, all month long, just gathering data and trying to sort through data. That's all the whole month of September was trying to get 586 contact points boiled down the best way we could. Can we go, yeah, we can go back to this slide. Those are the main 5. We didn't want to come out of this with 25 things, because easily this congregation could have 100 things that could be our directions. We needed to find a way to say, this is who we are in a simple way so that you can hopefully remember a little bit about who we are. And it's not a challenge to remember what's that strategic direction about. We tried to make it as simple as we could. Now, this does not mean everything is there. There will be task teams going on from this point forward who will be assigned to each of these, and they will do the actual work. They've now been given a framework, but goals and objectives are not our task. That's not what we were set out to do. We were set to set a big picture direction. The goals and objectives that will come from this will come from task teams from you who will be on these guiding teams making this move forward as a strategic direction in the next 3 to 5 years. That's how we get there. And there's much, much more. And I'll give you one example. I mentioned small groups. were mentioned a lot, and we need more small groups. Well, you don't see that phrase up here on the wall. It fits under connect and belong. That's where we're asking that team to say, how do we expand our abilities to do and meet small groups? But that task team will now have that responsibility to move us into more small groups to meet the needs that you have shared with us that you see as an important part of who we are.
That you vote positively at our congregation meeting.
Right.
So we haven't taken action yet. You guys have got to ratify this for us.
Yep. Now I think we're ready for questions.
So please wait for Molly, because we do have a crew watching, and she'll bring the mic to you or throw it at you.
I think all this is wonderful, and I've only been here a year, and I see a lot of these things happening, which is pretty impressive. But how does this differ from the past? I know the digital whole pastor thing, that's going to be different, but how is this different from the past, just from a historical perspective, because I don't know.
For example, praise and worship did not show up in the last plan as a specific piece. So that would be one directionally thing where we heard so many people say, this is an important part of who we are, and it must be kept moving forward. We can't sit back and let it just be. We have to keep pushing it forward. Enact justice and advocate, those two show up in the previous plan very clearly, but they show up as one and not two. And this was an attempt to say, advocate and enact or do are different. We want to do more than we were doing in the previous plan. So now we've broken it out and say we're going to do more by doing two pieces. Connect and belong is a current trend. Ever since COVID, that's been a reality, especially, that we are more isolated and need more sense of who I am and how I fit in and where I belong. That's a brand new piece, as well as the evolve and meet the changing world. Again, COVID and the digital world has moved us, and we don't want to be behind. Again, that part about future thinking, this is to drive us forward, not to stay where we are right now.
It also doesn't replace the strategic directions from before, so we will be continuing those and adding in this. This is, in a way, a refinement of some of those based on your feedback.
I just wanted to acknowledge the incredible work of the Project Isaiah team. And also, I wanted to highlight that in the beginning when you started, I really was concerned that I didn't see youth mentioned early on. And it wasn't in the top 13, and it wasn't until, Neil, you began your update that I saw the focus on youth, and that was a concern for me. But listening to your presentation and where you landed in these top 5 initiatives, I see youth everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I don't just see youth, I see other demographics as well. I also see the demographic that I'm part of, and multiple other groups. So I just really want to commend you for taking just an incredible amount of input and data and synthesizing that input and coming up with such a clear point of direction. I'm really, really impressed.
I will just add, youth was on our minds a lot. There were other groups also on our mind a lot that don't get specifically mentioned, but exactly what you said about we tried to see how they were going to fit in all of these. And when we started listing, we did start that process of listing all the groups that we wanted to be impacted. It was too big of a mountain. And who are we going to leave out? if we started listing groups and decided we were better off that the groups can find their ways to be integrated into this plan rather than trying to list people out or groups out.
I think the strategic direction for 3 to 5 years is brilliant because too many congregations want to set things in stone. My question is this: as we move forward, is that 3 to 5 years going to continue to evolve to the next 3 to 5, the next 3 to 5, or are we going to wait till we get to that 5th year and say, now where do we go?
So, yes.
Good answer.
You asked it in a yes or no fashion. So, the idea is 3 to 5 years isn't a single point. It's a range. So as we progress on these, if we feel like we've really achieved something and a new element of it evolves, it'll be there. But for certain, somewhere between the 3rd and 5th year, we will again do a listening like we have before and say, all right, where are we? Where do we want to go next? How are all of you, how is this collective intelligence of all of us seeing the world around us and how we can fit in and raise people up?
Hi, thanks for all this. I'm even newer. I've only been here for a couple of months, but I'm a huge strategic planning nerd, so I find this all very exciting. Kind of following on the question about the time frame and how it will evolve, I'm wondering how, besides forming the groups that will be dedicated to each of these things, how are we going to identify success and know when we've hit it, especially in things like enact justice and advocate for a shared future, when frankly, like you look at the world around us and things are evolving very rapidly. So how are we going to know that we're on the right path? Who's going to make those determinations, and how will we discuss that as a group?
Anyone want to field that?
I think that's a council question.
Sure. Well, in the past, so we had ministry boards, which are now ministry teams. And so part of every annual planning for what ministry teams and staff members who work with those teams do is kind of map out the activities or the initiatives that they're planning and trace it to different elements of the strategic plan. And so every year it's kind of renewing. Where have we come since then? Is there something we can do differently? Where are we lacking in some of these elements in those activities?
And those boards drive that down to behaviors. Here are the behaviors we're going to engage in. So like you've seen with social ministry, they've had quarterly events that focus on different aspects that they're doing. We'll continue in that direction. Yes, please.
There's a great line attributed to the Pogo comic strip from years ago that says, if you don't know where you want to go, you'll probably end up somewhere else. Thank you very much for an incredible piece of work in helping us identify where we want to go. I think it's awesome.
Okay, so now I have to respond with Buckaroo Banzai. Just remember, wherever you're going, there you are.
I was wondering if you could say a little bit more about your feedback from the community, from the other churches, the Pastoral Alliance, the high school.
I would say overwhelmingly, it was positive feedback that they, like the other clergy, admire what's happening here and wish in some ways that they could feel that in their own environments. We heard a little bit of that. And a whole lot of encouragement about don't take your foot off the gas, keep going, from those folks. Melinda maybe can speak to this. She did some of the interviews herself.
Yeah, I had the privilege of meeting with Nolan Bryant, who is the principal at Cary High School, and he was so positive. He just said, you all are the best neighbors we could ever wish for. But he did speak to great need in the community and a great need at the high school, and he probably listed 10 things we could do in addition to what we're already doing. Let's see, we also met with the Cary Area Ministerial Alliance, and CTK is a tremendous partner. We support not only Dorcas, whom, if you have not heard, has a new name, Neighbor Up, and also Caring Place will be, within the next 5 to 10 years, there'll be affordable housing right down the street off of Maynard, and CTK will be a partner in that. So yes, just as Randy said, we received a whole lot of affirmation, and we received a whole lot of continued encouragement that there is need out there. Please help. Please continue to help and serve.
Thank you again to the Isaiah team. I'm not sure if this is council, a question. How will the ministry teams be formed? And how can we get involved to be a part of that?
Oh yeah, we'll put your name down, Stan. No. Yeah, I think I'm not a part of every. I mean, I've only been a part of one ministry board, and now they are ministry teams. And so my understanding is each of those boards come team are kind of approaching their future makeup a little bit differently. So I mean, if you are interested in being a member of any team or forming a new team, we have the connection corner and people to help you get connected and plugged in. I think seriously, with everything, the more the merrier. We really love having member participation across all of the ministry teams and areas, and we're always seeking more people to be involved and raise up new leaders.
One of the examples would be, this was presented to the church council, this preliminary plan, and I heard feedback that right away they started putting some goals and objectives down in each category that they had already started working. It hadn't been adopted by the congregation yet, hadn't even been presented yet. But I think there's a sense of they understand how to engage that process and get us going early in 2026. So hopefully you'll hear much more.
And given your question, at the congregation meeting, we'll figure out some process so that people know what to do if they want to sign up and who to contact, how to do that. Thank you, Stan.
So on the name change, I've been here for 30 years, and before we came here, we were at a church called Community Lutheran Church in Sterling, North Carolina, or Sterling, Virginia, and they had proposed at a time to change the name there as well. You know, community and church are kind of saying the same thing. This is one of the arguments they had. We're also fairly far down the list in the phone book, not that far with a C, but we're going to change it to Abiding Presence, so it'll be at the top. Somebody thought we should make it Abiding Presence, but so it didn't surprise me that the change didn't fly with people in the congregation. I suspect it was probably fairly high in the 60 to 75% range of people saying, it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, so that was kind of an interesting thing. No matter how much people want it to change, they don't want it to change. So, are the ministry teams going to be roughly aligned with where the current ministry boards were? Or are we kind of mixing that up, or has that not been determined yet?
I mean, I think by now, my understanding is most of the ministry boards have kind of reconfigured. In some cases, I think the example I'm thinking of is the worship ministry board, and like it made a little bit sense to have two different teams for contemporary and traditional, so there's not a lot of time wasted for people who are trying to be involved but really only attend one versus the other. For faith formation ministry board, that just kind of seamlessly transitioned into ministry team, and the others I think were in between. I know there was the difference between the congregational life kind of split up a little bit, so I think they're just more focused so that when they have their meetings, they're just focusing on one particular aspect, and they can have more efficient meetings. And the other major difference is just how they're connecting with staff as well. So, yeah.
So, I was on the Constitution Committee, for better or worse, and I thought that there was going to be a separation with council being in charge of governance and the staff being in charge of ministry. So a lot of the goals would be under ministry, and then how would council be responding to that? I don't think the ministry teams are going to be sending goals to council to review.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's, I mean, the major difference is the separation between governance and activity. So I think even though that's not happening, that doesn't mean that the ministry teams won't be seriously considering the goals and integrating it.
And also reporting back to council. It's not like just because we're in governance, we somehow aren't going to be involved in that. So they will be reporting back. The thing is they'll be reporting back through their staff assigned person. This is a cooperative event. More questions? If there aren't any more questions, someone will have to do a joke or something or sing a song.
Well done, good and faithful servant.
Excuse me?
Well done, good and faithful servant.
Well, we have one more over here, I guess.
You had your chance. Yeah, I wanted to say, you know, with any kind of general presentation like this, I appreciate all the work that y'all have done. Since this is the first that I've gotten all this information, and I'm just speaking for myself, I may have a question, you know, but it might dawn on me tomorrow. So, I already have a lot of things bubbling up, but I don't know how to put them into words right now. So what would be the process for me to be able to ask a question about this? Because I'm sure this is going to be posted so that we can read it and study it a little bit better.
Yeah, you're all going to get or have the ability to pick up a one-page summary of these pieces.
Okay.
Actually, what they covered in the little explanations are on there as well. So that's available on your way out. As far as who to contact, I guess that would be me.
Okay.
If you can send any questions to me, and then I will share them amongst the team as we work through any of those. So please feel free to send to me. Randy Youngquist Thoreau, I'm in the directory, and my email is there, so you can do that.
Thanks.
Or come and ask me for my email if you need it.
Will it be available on Church Center?
This piece, yes. Molly's going, yes. So
the question was, will it be on Church Center? And the answer is yes.
Where will it be? Do you know yet, Molly?
Probably on the homepage. We'll put a link to it, and I'll put it in the email.
So the question is, where will it be in Church Center? And it will be on the homepage.
anything else?
I have a concern. I don't think I need a speaker, a microphone.
Well, you do for the internet if you don't mind. The folks in California will have a hard time hearing you.
Yeah.
I'm just a little concerned about sign up for things. Used to, we always had ushers assigned for every week. We had greeters assigned for every week. And now, if you will notice, a lot of times, especially at 11 o'clock comes and somebody grabs Ralph and says, can you be an usher today? Someone grabs somebody else, can you be an usher today? And then you come see a greeter, and there's not a greeter there. We've got, and I know you're sign up online and stuff, but a lot of people are not doing that. All of us old folks, it's just, we're not used to doing that. And I'll go to the center here and say, I'll do so-and-so. I just think we need to fix that. Hazel has done a lot in getting people to be, when we have community helpers. She took it upon herself to assign people and have people sign up for the whole year. We need more of that. We've got to at least go back one step and work on that, because you just can't count on the same people to do it over and over and over again.
I appreciate that. I struggle with some of that sign up myself. but that is not really in the purview of this team. We're looking at the bigger picture right now, and that will be more the folks working in praise and worship down the road will have to address that, but not really within the context of this plan. Yep, David?
We're working on this. We talked about this for a long time in staff. Since Chris D'Amico has left us, we're now trying to find ways to incorporate more people in exactly what you're talking about. So please know it's being addressed.
You only get one more question, Lisa. Make it a long one.
I'll be nice, I promise. I want to support Ann. Volunteerism is a huge part of this church. So I agree. I do think that one thing that we should do, I know it's not something that your committee addressed because it was more on the service and theology level, but volunteerism is as connected to that as anything else we've talked about. So I really do think it's about not just signing up on, it's not all about the technology, it's about creating a solid and good, reliable structure to have our volunteer leaders and our volunteers be able to channel in and know exactly how to do that. We don't have that right now at the church. It's falling apart. So I agree with you, Ann.
And it's certainly a part of that last one, evolve to meet a changing world. This is part of the changing world.
Any other questions?
Can we close in a word of prayer? Creator God, we thank you for the opportunity to be your servants in this wonderful, unique place. Help us, lead us, and guide us to engage in your call of service to the best of our abilities. Help us each to welcome all. Help us each to engage in the process of helping people feel like they belong here and they belong in your kingdom. We thank you for the opportunity to research and share our voice, for the opportunity to learn and try to figure out what all of this says. What a joy. Help us move in joy as a community of faith. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Welcome to hang out. However you like.
Thank you.